Most people believe AI hallucinations are random model failures, but the real problem is prompts that force the model to guess. Once you understand the structural causes of hallucination, you can design prompts that dramatically reduce them. You ask an AI model for something simple, a research summary, a market statistic, a list of competitors, and it responds with complete confidence. Names, numbers, sources, everything sounds correct, until you check. The study doesn't exist. The statistics are wrong. The companies were invented. At that moment, most people assume the problem is the model. AI just hallucinates. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most hallucinations are not random. They're structural. They happen because the prompt accidentally invites guessing, and language models are extremely good at guessing. They are trained to produce the most plausible continuation of text, not the most verified fact. So when your prompt leaves gaps, the model fills them confidently. What looks like intelligence is often just probability. That's the hidden cost. You lose time verifying answers, you lose trust in outputs, and eventually you stop using the system for anything important. But once you understand why hallucinations actually happen, you can reduce them dramatically. Not with better tools, with better prompt structure. And the shift is surprisingly simple. Let's start with the misconception. Most people try to reduce hallucinations by adding more instructions. Be accurate. Only give factual information. Do not hallucinate. Sounds reasonable. It does almost nothing. Because the model cannot obey a rule it cannot detect. Think about what the model sees internally. It receives your text prompt. It predicts the most likely next tokens. That's the entire process. It has no internal truth database, no verification engine, no awareness that it just invented something. It simply predicts language patterns. So when your prompt asks for information that may or may not exist, the model faces a choice: admit uncertainty or generate a plausible answer. Most prompts accidentally encourage the second option. Here's the trap. If your prompt assumes knowledge exists, the model assumes it should answer. Let's make this concrete. Example 1. You write, list 5 studies that prove cold showers increase productivity. That prompt already assumes something, that those studies exist. The model now faces pressure to comply. If the training data contains partial references, weak mentions, or related material, it may generate realistic-looking citations, author names, publication years, journal titles, everything formatted perfectly. But the studies might be fictional, not because the model is broken, because the prompt framed the task incorrectly. Here's the shift. Instead of asking for confirmation, ask for evidence detection. What credible research exists on cold showers and productivity? If evidence is limited, explain the current research state. That tiny shift changes the model's behavior. Now the prompt allows 3 possible outputs. Evidence exists. Evidence is mixed. Evidence is limited. The model is no longer forced into invention. That's the first principle. Never assume the answer exists. Always allow uncertainty. That sounds small. It isn't. Now let's go deeper. Hallucinations usually appear in 3 specific scenarios: missing information, artificial specificity, and authority pressure. Understanding these changes everything. Failure mode number 1, missing context. This is the most common one. You ask, summarize the book Atomic Habits chapter about identity. Seems harmless, but the model doesn't know which edition, which chapter number, or how precise the summary should be. If its training memory is incomplete, it may reconstruct the chapter, meaning the summary may contain ideas that are close to the book but not actually present. That's reconstruction hallucination. Here's the fix. Anchor the context. Based on the widely known ideas from Atomic Habits by James Clear, summarize the concept of identity-based habits. If exact wording is uncertain, describe the general principle instead of quoting. Now the model is allowed to explain the concept without pretending to reproduce exact text. Accuracy increases immediately. Failure mode number 2, artificial specificity. Here's another trap. Give me the top 12 competitors of my SaaS product. But the model doesn't know your exact niche. It guesses. It fills the list with plausible companies. Half of them may not actually compete with you. Here's the structural fix. Example. Based on typical competitors for AI content automation tools, list possible competitors. If unsure about relevance, mark them as potential rather than confirmed. Now the model has an uncertainty channel. Instead of inventing authority, it labels probability. That's a huge difference. Failure mode. Number 3, authority pressure. This one is subtle. You ask the model like it's an expert witness. Explain why intermittent fasting improves longevity. Notice the structure. It assumes a conclusion, so the model searches for supporting arguments, even if evidence is incomplete. That's confirmation hallucination. The fix is simple. Use a balanced inquiry prompt. What does current research say about intermittent fasting and longevity? Include supportive findings, conflicting evidence, and research limitations. Now the model's job is analysis, not persuasion. Accuracy improves again. Let's pause for a moment. 3 structural problems: missing context, artificial specificity, and authority pressure. Most hallucinations come from one of these, not from the model going rogue. That's the leverage. Now let's introduce the framework that solves most hallucination problems. I call it the 3-layer prompt guard. It's simple, but extremely effective. Layer 1, scope. Layer 2, uncertainty. Layer 3, evidence. Let's start with Layer 1, scope. Scope defines what the model should actually attempt. Without scope, the model guesses the boundaries. For example, bad prompt, explain blockchain. That's enormous. Better prompt, explain blockchain technology in simple terms for small business owners exploring payment systems. Now the model knows audience, depth, and purpose. Guessing decreases. Layer 2, uncertainty. This layer is critical. You explicitly allow the model to admit limits. Example, if specific data is uncertain or outdated, explain the uncertainty rather than guessing. This removes pressure to fabricate. Remember earlier, models hallucinate when the prompt forces completeness. This layer removes that pressure. Layer 3, evidence. This tells the model how to handle claims. Example, when referencing statistics or studies, explain the type of evidence rather than inventing citations. Now instead of fake sources, the model describes evidence patterns, meta-analysis, observational studies, industry reports. That's far safer. Let's combine the full structure. If information is uncertain or debated, explain the uncertainty rather than guessing. When referencing research or statistics, describe the type of evidence rather than inventing specific sources. That's the full guard. Simple, powerful, reusable. Let's walk through 3 real-world scenarios. Example, market research. A founder asks, what is the size of the AI coaching market? The model might produce a precise number, $4.2 billion, $6.7 billion, but those numbers may not exist. Instead, estimate the potential size of the AI coaching market based on adjacent markets like online coaching, AI productivity tools, and education technology. Explain assumptions rather than giving precise statistics. Now the answer becomes reasoning, not fabrication. That's far more useful. Example, content research. A creator asks, give me 10 surprising statistics about remote work. The model invents statistics. Instead, list widely discussed trends about remote work. If exact statistics are uncertain, describe the trend rather than giving a number. The output becomes insights, not fake data. Example, competitive analysis. A solo builder asks, who are the main competitors to my AI writing tool? But the model doesn't know your features. Better prompt. Based on tools commonly used for AI writing, list major platforms and describe their positioning. Now the model references known players. Much safer. Now let's talk about something most people miss. Even perfect prompts won't eliminate hallucinations. That's reality. Language models are probabilistic systems, not knowledge engines, which means verification still matters. But better prompts reduce hallucinations dramatically, and more importantly, they make errors visible. Instead of confident fabrication, you get transparent uncertainty. That's a huge improvement. Here's the practical implementation. You can start using this immediately. Do this today. Take one prompt you use often. Rewrite it using the 3-layer prompt guard. Scope, uncertainty, evidence. Run the prompt again. Compare the outputs. You'll notice something quickly. The answers feel more cautious, more analytical, less theatrical. That's exactly what you want. Now take it further. Do this week. Create a small prompt library with 3 categories: research prompts, analysis prompts, and brainstorming prompts. Add uncertainty language to each. Over time, this becomes your AI operating system. Instead of reinventing prompts every time, you reuse reliable structures. Consistency increases, hallucinations drop, and your workflow becomes predictable. One last thought. AI hallucinations are often framed as a technological flaw, but in practice, they're usually a communication flaw. We ask the model questions in ways that reward guessing. Once you remove that pressure, the system becomes dramatically more reliable. You stop fighting the model and start collaborating with it. That's the structural shift. If you want to test this idea right now, try this. Take a prompt you used recently that produced a questionable answer. Rewrite it using the 3-layer prompt guard. Then compare the responses. You'll likely notice the difference immediately, and I'm curious what you discover. So in the comments, tell me, what's one prompt you rewrote today, and did the answer become more reliable? Turning AI from a novelty into real leverage. If that's the direction you want to go, make sure you're subscribed. New episodes break down practical systems for using AI in business, content creation, and decision-making. Without the hype, without the noise, just clear frameworks you can actually use. So subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.